Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is episode number 2, and today we're going to be talking about some new strain of COVID that just came out. It seems like they skipped G for some reason, and they named it Omicron, based on the Greek alphabet. And it seems like the mask mandates are back in Britain, and if you go to the stores or public transportation, you got to wear them again, which I'm assuming they're 73% vaccinated or 76% vaccinated of the population. So, regardless of your vaccine status, your mask mandates are back in, which is no surprise at this point. It seems like Germany has 2 cases of this strain. Amsterdam is the one that had all these planes that were stopped from disembarking at the airport because they were coming in from South Africa and they were concerned that they all had COVID. And it seems like 61 of those people tested positive, and apparently it was with this new thing that came out per WHO. And they're saying that it's a strain of concern. It's of the most serious category. So let's see if that's the truth. But the chaos in Amsterdam seem emblematic of the varied and often scattershot responses to the virus across the world, with masking rules, national testing requirement, and vaccine mandates differing from country to country and continent to continent. KLM, the airline operating the flight, said that only some passengers had to show proof of negative recent test, depending on the vaccination status and requirement of their final destination. So I guess see that's the thing that's concerning too. That they're saying we didn't have everyone to show their vaccine tests or vaccine status or their tests. So that might be the reason why. Look, such gaps could open avenues for contagion, especially for potentially threatening new variant. That number of people seemed like a very high number to have this happen. I mean, time will tell if this is truly the right way of going about it. But it still seems to be the case that they're really pushing for everyone to be able to be willing to comply with this. Show your card when you get stopped on the side of the road, saying if you've crossing state borders for causing a possibility of spread of the disease. We'll see, but a lot. A lot has happened over this past few weeks that indicates that that might not be so shocking as we think it could be. Let's see here, and even in Britain, Boris Johnson is saying that Boris Johnson is saying that this is already a concern for them, and they're starting to worry about it. But 76% of their population is already vaccinated. He announced that a series of temporary and precautionary health measures to contain the spread of this strain of the virus. He said, regardless of vaccination status, that's the other important thing to keep in mind, anyone suspected of Omicron must isolate for 10 days. I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point. If you're vaccinated and all of these strains are going to continue to come, which, as far as I'm aware of, there are thousands of these strains outside. Some of them are considered to be more deadly than others, but overall, the survival rate of COVID has been 99%. So, in general, a healthy population seems to do well with it. So, after being 76% vaccinated, you're still having to isolate. You're still having to wear masks. You're still having to go under lockdown and quarantine. And on top of that, you're still showing your vaccination cards. So I don't know what has changed since the vaccination came, but that is the interesting part of all of this. And this is what's happening in the U.S. They did ban South Africa from South Africans or anyone from South Africa except the U.S. citizens from coming into the U.S. But if it was such a concern, then that still remains to be an issue where they're not still doing much about the southern border where this variant is supposedly coming out, and it should be of high concern that if people are traveling back and forth without much protection or isolation or less testing on the population that you don't want to test on, won't that make an impact on overall if it is as concerning as it seems to be? But apparently not. There are other countries that are like Israel, Japan, UK. Israel is highly vaccinated. UK is 76%. Singapore is 83% plus vaccinated. I think that all of their adults are pretty much vaccinated. Germany, I'm not sure on them, are moving to restrict entry from countries in the south of Africa. And these include this list of countries. I mean, they're saying all air travel should be suspended until we have a clear understanding of the danger posed by this new variant. And this is the remark from Joe Biden: a wall will not stop the coronavirus. Banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the country or world will not stop it. And the disease could impact every nation, any person on the planet, and we need to combat. Oh, this is an older one, I think. That was, March 2020. This was Biden on what he called the African ban last year. Now he's imposed one on himself. Imposed one himself. Yeah, I mean that's no shock. It's politics at this point, where everything other parties doing is a problem, and then you can do the same thing, and it has a different meaning because the circumstances are different, which in case don't seem to be the case. Like I said, European countries and some of the Asian countries have stopped. Also imposed some restrictions. Singapore, like I said, is one of the highly vaccinated. Japan is also tightening their borders, and India is stepping up the testing. Um, but here's what South Africa has to say about the variant, which is where it came from. This is from Times of India, and they're saying that it's causing mild disease without prominent syndromes, and it presents mild disease with some symptoms being sore muscles and tired for a day or two of not feeling well. So far, we've detected that those infected do not suffer loss of taste or smell, might have slight cough. There are no prominent symptoms. Of those infected, some are currently being treated at home, Coetzee said. I believe that's their health representative. And they're saying hospitals have not been overburdened by Omicron patient, and that the strain is not being detected in vaccinated persons. At the same time, the situation might be different for the vaccinated. So if the strain is not being detected in the vaccinated persons and the unvaccinated are the ones that they're collecting this data on, either way, it seems like the disease that they're suggesting it is mild. So that's something to keep in mind. But this is from them, and even they're saying we will only know this after 2 weeks. Yes, it is transmissible, but for now, as medical health practitioners, we do not know why so much hype is being driven as well as we are still looking into it. I mean, talking about jumping the gun, I understand that any respiratory condition, you got to be able to do that so you don't fall behind on it. But time will tell, I guess. This is the country that it's coming from, and overall, they haven't had a huge. They haven't had the severity of the condition has not been enough for them to cause, or come out concerned. But while the others are saying it's like WHO had made a statement saying that it's severity of concern. So anyways, this is the other thing that had come about, which is even more concerning than all of this. Australia's just kind of gone down the deep end, I think. I'm not sure how people over there living in Australia feel about this, but it seems like the Indigenous people are the next ones that are having to deal with this draconian measures from Australian government, where they're now pushing them into quarantine camps to avoid close contacts. And they're saying that it's to do with the fact that they're overpopulated in the residential areas that Indigenous populations in Australia are living, so they want to help them out by putting them in these quarantine camps for a certain number of days. And let's see, it's would the facilities would house Aboriginal people unable to quarantine at home, and many are unable to isolate because of overcrowding housing and under loosening. So this is the 2 weeks quarantine expected. So we'll house close contact for 14 days. Only unvaccinated close contact must quarantine. So under a loosening of restriction on Tuesday, only unvaccinated close contacts must quarantine for 14 days, and vaccinated are only required to isolate for 7 days. So even if you're vaccinated, it doesn't matter. You're still having to quarantine, but they're saying you can quarantine for less time. Why? And it happens to be that only 34% are fully vaccinated. I mean, this is crazy. I'm just saddened by the fact that they knew that the borders were going to open today and only just called the tenders on Monday. Some are calling these great initiatives. We'll see. I mean, I think considering everyone's opinion on this is different, and I'm sure this is something that continues to be an issue in understanding where overall the rate of survival from COVID is fairly strong. If you don't have any underlying health conditions, your age matters, your overall health status matters, and you're generally able to pull through it without much concern. So these measures, even though they're supposedly for your own good, I mean, I think this is a very difficult point. Once it goes down that route and people are accepting this, I think this could be a very dangerous turn for our society. And this was a conspiracy theory not too long ago. In fact, I used to think that was a conspiracy theory, and this would be nothing that our world will ever have to deal with. But Australia is one step ahead of everyone, and hopefully this is not something that continues to where it reaches out to other countries and people and governments in other countries seem comfortable with it. I know there's a very strong disagreements between the two groups that are unvaccinated or even vaccinated and don't care for people to have mandatory vaccinations. And there's a lot of turmoil with that, and having something like this that people are okay with in a different country, I don't really like that idea. And I think people are smart enough to be able to deal with the consequences of something that comes with something, just being close to someone who's sick. So maybe the government could provide them housing, um, or pay money for them if they are willing to do that. But to actively and make the decision for them, I am not so sure that's a good thing to go, good route to go with. But let's see how this all unfolds, and everything continues to ramp up as Christmas is coming and people are going to be traveling more. It seems like there are restrictions already in place. Well, hopefully this doesn't continue to worsen over the next few weeks to months. Anyways, if you like this, make sure you subscribe, comment, and let me know what else to add and change. Take care.